All right, I'm bringing Michelle in because Michelle is the superhero of the day.
The superhero, like saved it.
It worked.
Saved
It worked.
It has been a bit of a wonky week, and then waking up this morning and hearing that Hannah was not feeling well. First person in my mind, because Michelle kept saying if there's anything I could do to help with Amplify, and I'm like, I'm holding that card.
Yeah.
And so Ben, the funniest thing, I quickly Slack her a message and say, Hannah's sick, can you help? And she's like, I was just looking at my calendar and wondering why it was blank.
I literally had nothing on my calendar today. I was like, well, it's meant to be.
Man, that was a save for sure.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that Hannah's sick, but I had so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Did you?
Like so many amazing speakers. The attendees had such great questions. Yeah, it was really delightful to be part of the whole process. So thanks for thinking of me, Kathy.
I am so glad you were able to step in and help out here. Otherwise, it wasn't going to happen. And we had speakers with some pretty epic presentations prepared, and I was not ready to let that get canceled. So
it worked
it worked out very well. But we're here to end the day with the man of the hour, the person with whom, without whom,
no pressure though. No pressure.
Yeah, seriously.
And that viewer check keeps going up and up and up. People want to hear from you, Ben. So I don't think you need much of an introduction. If you have a slide share, there's a present button or a screen share. You can get that ready for everybody down in the bottom. And then Michelle and I are gonna go backstage and take a big sigh. Maybe during one of the presentations, of course, the dachshund was just like, "What are you eating over there?" Like chewing on plastic, and I'm just like, just chaos in the background. So, but
for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit of a breather and let Ben have the stage. You guys watching, if you have questions of Ben, pop them into the chat, and we will have questions at the end of this. Even if you have questions if you have questions related to the presentation, that's great too. But if you have general questions about like, when's this happening with Kadence, we know you're holding those. Everybody's got their notepad with their questions that they have to ask Ben. Hold those towards the end, and we'll make sure that those get answered as well, because I know everybody wants to hear how things are going with their platform of choice. So without any further ado,
thank you.
There's your slide share.
So this probably won't take too long, and so we'll have some time for questions. I'm mostly here to demo kind of what we've been working on with the new version of starter templates. And so in demoing, just even 5 minutes ago, I broke everything. So I expect this to break because this is still very early and we're still like, figuring everything out. But I think it is cool, the direction we're going and all of that. So I wanted to start just looking at like what we currently do and have for starter templates, and then how like our thought process on the next phase of it. So right now we have 80 some starter templates. And they're great, right? They this is how you can get in and look at them. They're well designed, and you can quickly change color palettes. You'll notice that the logo doesn't change, but obviously that's something easy to switch out. But they're very opinionated, and so if you're not coming in like wanting a cleaning service, you're going to end up with a bunch of pages and a bunch of stuff that you don't necessarily want. While maybe this layout is the layout that you actually want, but something totally different. So we wanted to make the next iteration of starter templates use AI, because that's really powerful, and offer more flexibility. So again, this is going to break, but I'll jump in. So in this experience, I've already set up my AI data just because that whole part could break. I'm going to get in there and show you, but normally when you come after you click that, you would land here and it would walk you through and say like, what is your information? And so, in this case, you can put like, I'm doing Swell Life, which is a company that my brother and I have been like kind of playing around with, creating electrolyte powder drink that's like really beachy themed, and kind of like a fun beach vibe thing. So drink manufacturer, this is like can be any industry you want. Like I think there's like 3,000 different things in here. And then I've got like just some like bullet points. Like Swell Life is an alternative spelling of Swell Life, and embodies a brand that focuses on embracing the ocean and leading an active lifestyle. And other things, this is one where you're really wanting to just give us information about your company that like makes you unique and tell us about it, because that really helps inform the AI. The more in depth you go here, the better content generally. So this is like definitely something to look at when you start playing around with Kadence AI. And we've got a lot of things like to help you think through what kind of content you should write in here. So this is a pretty, I would say, bad example, but like for today, it's just what we're going to show. And then you have an option to do some keywords. And here we use AI to suggest keywords, which, I've already got some up here, like tropical flavors and ocean enjoyment, things like that. I might want to do like beach vibe, and different things. And then you can set your tone, depending on like how you feel like the website should be toned. And this is something like, the idea is you could set it, look at it, come back to it. And then from there, what we do is we generate a search query to try to say like, what kind of images might this website need? And then give you like a group that's like, we've got this beachy thing. And this is really fun too, because you can get in and change this. So like, here's my search query. If I'm like, you know what, I don't want a ton of people, I really just want beach, I can go in and do that and update this and get this like just really beach vibe. And so this is one where you can change the query, come back to it. You can edit a collection, and this will take a minute, but what it's going to do is it's going to grab all of the images in this like featured images section, drop it in to the library here, and then I can add to this collection. So, if I'm looking for like a specific, I don't have pexels loading in here. This is what we're talking about breaking. Interesting. We'll come back to that. You can edit the collection. We'll come back to updating the collection later because, it broke. And then you would save and generate content. And so in this case, I've generated some AI content already for this fake Swell Life brand. And so what you get is a grid, again, with websites that feel fairly opinionated. And the idea here is, how do we make these sites opinionated? Like, you're picking different sites. And 4 is like, just because I'm like verifying that this whole trajectory is going to work. We will have a lot more when this goes live. But the idea is you can go through and you get your headers switched, the text added in, and a live preview right here of what it is. And then if you want to jump in, you can jump in and see, okay, what's going on this page. And you get a live preview. Now, what's fun about this is, instead of, we'll switch back to here. Instead of just giving you, some color schemes to choose from, in this case, I'm building the color palette based on your primary color. So you can select one of these colors here, and then we'll generate a palette for you that kind of gives you all the grayscale that you need. So with this, you can even go dark, which is fun. And then in dark, I've added some accessibility tools. So in this case, it's telling you, hey, this is too dark, this color. You should make it lighter. And then that way it's easier to see. And so there's already a contrast checking mechanism in there to make sure that your color palette is going to be accessible, which is sweet. And so, like, just to give you an example, like I probably want a light background, and this brand color for this brand that my brother and I, may or may not do is this blue here. And right off the bat, it's saying, hey, this is going to be a little bit too light. And so I can just take that color down until that warning goes away. And now I've got a color that has enough contrast. And I've got that warning to know, like, hey, this is the color. And then you can, of course, switch the fonts here too. So you get a live preview of all of that with different fonts to look at. And then what's really interesting is you can actually go back and see the whole grid with your color palette and your font selection. So you don't have to like go in and go out, go in and go out. You can go and be like, oh, hey, interesting. What does this site now look like if I've got this new thing? And then I can come in and say, actually, I really like this font. This is a better vibe for my site. So colors. One other thing I'll show you is like background saturation. So essentially the grayscale is slightly cool when you're generating a palette with blue. If I generate it with orange, it's slightly warm. And that you can push on more. So we'll open up this example. You can see how like with the saturation at 3 versus 0, it's a lot warmer. And so if you're like wanting a little bit more of a vibrant feel to your like subtle background and text color, you can push the saturation around. And that just tweaks this color palette a little bit. So again, like pretty fun and quick and easy way to like get your whole palette done and figured out very quickly. So let's go back. I'm going to move forward with this one because this is what I've got an example of. So in here, I've got this home page and I'm like, okay, this is looking right. I've got my color palette set up. I can go to the content and then now I can see a live preview of what pages are going to come as part of this. And so I can go through and pick pages or deselect pages. And I've got an interesting thing here. I can import blog posts or not, and example WooCommerce products or not. So some of the feedback we've got from people is like, they wanted the blog posts. They wanted the whole thing. They were like, I want a whole website, menu, everything. And some people were like, I actually just want a page. Don't give me all this stuff that I have to go and delete later. And so that makes this really easy. It's like, if you don't want any starter blog posts or WooCommerce products, you don't have to get them. And then you've also got options to like disable footer widgets or your theme settings. And then you get a quick plugin option. We're still working on this page to make it more interesting. You've got some required plugins based on the template you chose. And then finish and launch, which I'll go ahead and tell you nothing's actually happening here. This is all just kind of placeholder for how this is going to work. Although I do know that this can work, but the idea is a lot different from how we did starter templates in the past. In the past, we took an entire website export and we imported that into your site. And what that did is it kind of made it tricky to do multiple imports because all of those were based on like making connections with images via their IDs and stuff like that. This new import process is going to import content on an individual level and be a lot more reliable and smoother. And so this is one I imported earlier to give you an idea of like, this is the generated text from AI and what the page looks like. And here is the example products. Go ahead and created that menu. We've got an about page with some nice stuff, contact with a map, frequently asked questions, and a blog with some example blog posts. And so this is like the idea. You would come out of that and you would be like infinitely further along in getting ready to launch your site. And then because we've already integrated AI, and I know it's not live, but we've integrated it into Kadence Blocks. You can take what we have here and go, okay, well, I want to expand on this. I can open up the design library, and I can find more content that has, again, all of my Swell Life AI content and the images that I'm using on this ready for me. And so it's really easy for me to be like, oh, hey, I really like this section, or I really like this section. I can drop that into my site. This is going to, of course, 5 demos. Interesting that the pictures didn't go through there. Well, I'm using like multiple betas of betas, but the idea would be this would drop in without breaking, and that these images would be replaced. Obviously, the text has been replaced with text from OpenAI. So that way, it makes it really easy to come in and say, I want to add more sections to my homepage, or I want to edit it. And then we'll go back to images real quick. These are just images that are, again, dropped in. If I'm looking for a specific image for this, like homepage hero, so like drinking water, beach. Let's see what we get. Yeah, that could work. Let's see. That could work. So I can drop these selected images in, and I think this one's going to have a better view, but then immediately get that much closer to like, okay, this is starting to look like an electrolyte powder, website where we're focusing on people, beach, and nice flavors. And so, obviously there's text to update, images to update, but the whole process should be infinitely cleaner and easier to do than how we previously were doing starter templates. And so this is exciting for us to get out and get mixed with all of the AI stuff, because the ability to jump through context and find what you need as well, like I can go in and rewrite titles, things like that. So I can ask it to edit this title, or I can, ask, like if I click inside of here and click that, that'll ask me to edit. I can also click at the end and I can generate something that will get added. So like, we'll do an example of how this works. Whoops. So by doing that, I quickly get results. I can use that copy. I can simplify it or change it, discard, and drop that in. And so the integration with AI and, starting with like, here's your draft website, to here's how you can keep using that content in all of the different contexts that you want, or generate entire pages if you want using the context. It's going to be really powerful and a really quick way to like get AI content, especially with the images. This is like just even fun to play around with. So like I've got edited collections here. I can go back to the search at any time and be like, you know what? I want to see all of my design library using someone. Let's see. What's a good query here? Oh, that's interesting. Smiling people with sports drink. I have no idea what this is going to give me. Not great. Let me try just sports drink. That's better for sure. So, I could take something like that, just updating that, and then going into looking at stuff. I can see how this is going to apply across all the different, patterns in my pattern library. So that is what Kadence Future AI is going to look like, at least in step 1. I think the expectation on my end is that we get this out by Black Friday in terms of you'll be able to use it then. We're probably not going to have 80 different variations, especially because these require some work to build. Even though we've built a pattern design library with 350 patterns, we're still building more patterns to make these sites more opinionated. A lot of our patterns right now are pretty wireframey, which is kind of the goal at first. So I would say we'll probably launch with something like 10 of these with all the pages built out, and then you'll be able to quickly get into different designs. Obviously, the designs change a lot once you start playing with colors and stuff. But yeah, so that is Kadence AI coming soon. Let me bring Kathy back in and
dun dun dun. I think it looks pretty amazing. Michelle?
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. I mean, just the templates alone made my life easier. Adding AI is going to be can I just go to take a nap and let the site build itself? I mean,
yeah, I think it's going to get exciting because there's even more little tweaks we're looking at doing for as you build, you can give us more opinions about some of the pages that we're building. We're working on a custom page builder with AI. So that way, you build a starter template or you build a draft website of 4 pages, and then you're like, hey, I actually need this page. We're working on a wizard to get you the page content that you want. So it's not just too general and get you even further along. So yeah, it's exciting for sure.
A comment here from Mark Woodard, one of our developers. Refining content with AI and image collections feels very next gen.
Yes,
that's what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The viewer is coming from inside the house.
Yeah. Well, and too, what's funny is the normal Kadence team isn't working on AI. So some of this, they get to see, normal's not the right word, but yeah, the AI project's kind of been separate from our current major dev work for Kadence Blocks and things like that.
Yeah. So where do these generated images come from?
So they're not generated. They're just, we create a search query and allow you to search pixels, which is an image, free image library. We may expand that to more, WordPress is working a lot on theirs. So there's potential for more image libraries to come in, but where we're using AI is to say, hey, give us the right search query for this person's website to get us a good array of images that will fit. And it's generally pretty good.
All right. So Heath has a couple of questions about how this is going to impact the bottom line. How is AI pricing going to be structured? Does this also wants to know if this is included in lifetime? And I know you might be still working on all of that.
We have an outline for it. The main thing is it will be included. We don't have plans to increase pricing or charge separately for it, but it does have limitations, meaning you're going to get, the idea is you get enough credits to where you're not worried about it. That's our number one goal is we're going to give free users credits and we're going to give pro users lots of credits. but there has to be some limit to protect us because we do pay for every time we ping OpenAI. And so the idea is to give everyone the credits that they should need, unless you're building a ton of sites. And I mean, a ton of sites, you shouldn't be running out of credits. That's kind of the goal. And if you were to run out of credits, it will be something like buy 10,000 credits for, a one-time fee of this, and those credits stay with you until you use them. There'll be lifetime credits that you could buy onto your current yearly package. And for lifetime users, there'll be a bunch of credits. So the idea is we're not trying to sell credits. It's more of improving the product.
Okay, great. Sorry, I clicked that a little too early. What if you already have a logo with 2 to 3 primary colors? Can you accommodate all of that with AI?
So I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure what the question is. You can add any logo you want to. The examples that I have here are just very simple, vector stuff. As far as a primary color, if you want to have multiple primary colors on your site, you can do that. The Kadence skinning system is designed for a primary color that sets the tone for your grayscale. So like I talked about, blue being more cool grayscale, because it's just way more interesting if your grayscale is either cool or warm, depending on what your primary color is. If it's just straight black and white, it just tends to feel very uninteresting. So we kind of bake that in. If you have multiple primary colors, you can do anything you want to with colors once you have the site. We're trying to give you a site that's here you go, here's your primary colors. So for example, in this site here on the right, if you wanted to jump in and change that green to something else, that's just a matter of literally opening up the template and going, okay, here, I want to change the background color. And we give you an option, and here I'll just show you. We give you an option in Kadence to add more colors. I'll show that here. So you can add a color. So if you're I really want this red. Now, back to my block. Oh, sorry. Gutenberg wants to update. I now have that red here. And so if you want to fill this out with 25 colors because you're I might use those colors somewhere, your color palette can be infinite. The skin, the default skin that Kadence does is really what's your primary color and how do we set the grayscale for this site? But after that, you can do whatever you want to. And so these starter sites, similar to these starter sites, all will work primarily with one, primary color that sets the grayscale. And then from there, there'll always be times to be oh, in this place, we're going to add one extra highlight or whatever. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. We've got some clarifying questions, for Google's logo, how would Kadence AI handle that since it has 4 relatively equal colors?
Again, you can put whatever logo you want to, and it could have 100 colors.
Okay.
We're not defining your logo for you. You get to pick your logo. We're just saying when you're setting the default skin, what's your primary, and set the grayscale. If you are I don't know what my primary color is because I have 4, you still have to pick one because there has to be one that and you might design your site where equally 4 are used, but you still really want to work with one grayscale. You don't want to work with 4 different types of grayscale on your site because that'll just feel really, really weird. So in the end, you'll need a primary color, even if your secondary colors are close in terms of use. You'll still need a primary color, and you'll still want to set your grayscale that matches that primary color.
Makes sense. I've got another question. Do you ever think there would be something like code AI? So like you're using I'm interpreting this to mean you're using a block and you want to do more with like advanced CSS or something. Would there ever be AI in Kadence that would help you figure that stuff out? I guess you'd have to be really specific on your queries.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some stuff like that. I mean, I use Copilot in, a lot, which is really nice to help coding. For writing custom CSS, I'm kind of hoping that you don't have to do that very often.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be cases where you do, but like, I don't know that we'll spend the time to work with AI to get that right versus like, let's figure out what you're trying to do and make that easier.
Right. All right. Everybody always wants to be a part of the journey with the team of what is coming next. Where's the public roadmap has been, well, AI has been some interesting topography. Like you go down a path and you think this is going to end up going in a certain direction. And oh my gosh, look at this giant boulder in the road. We're going to go around it. And oh, look where that is taking us. Look at all these other opportunities. It's not a
Yeah.
normal roadmap, is it?
No.
Yeah, and if you've ever done anything with AI, the hardest part is getting it to respond consistently in a certain way. AI, I mean, I don't know if you've done much, like especially with the APIs, getting it to do what you want is very hard. And so we've ran into lots of challenges along the way in this journey to get it where we are. Interestingly enough, one of our biggest challenges is getting licensing to support a credit system. That has been a massive, massive undertaking. And so, like, I think the best roadmap I can give you is we plan to have something out. Like, there is beta access to stuff. You can go get beta access to like just AI and blocks and things like that. But we plan to have something out before Black Friday. Now, will it have everything? Probably not. This is going to be something we iterate on a lot. And we have like a lot of ideas of like, we want to explore this and see what happens next. And the technology is changing a lot too. So like, I don't, next year, what are we doing with it? I have some ideas, but I'm not confident in those. So I think like, we have no good way of being like, we're X% done with a lot of stuff because we just don't know either. Like, I mean, I follow a lot of authors and I know a lot of them, some of them put like progress bars on their site and some of them absolutely refuse to. And I get it. Like it's hard. Sometimes just, it's hard to know. And like, we get to a point on a product and we're like, okay, this did what we set out to do, but it's not what we want. Like we set out to build this, but we have to go back now because it's actually, once we got it there, we realized we need to rewrite this. I mean, we did that with the advanced form block multiple times to get it where we wanted to. So yeah, it's fun challenges, but it's really hard to say like we're X amount done with anything.
Yeah. It seems like it's much easier to talk about like roadmaps of like what's happening in blocks. Like we know all of the advanced things that we're working on with the repeater field and advanced
Query
querying,
block. That's
all
like,
of that.
that's another one where it's like, I can tell you based on like, tickets, how far we are, but I can't tell you based on like actually how far we are. Like because there's just going to be points where we like stare at it and go, we need to add a ticket for this. Like we need to go build this thing next, or like, hey, this isn't working like we thought. Let's go add something to it. So, yeah, but I think it is helpful to know that like, hey, advanced query is like one of our top priorities right now to get that out because it's something a lot of people want. It's going to enable you to do a lot of really cool things with grids of data. And so we're working on it and it'll have filters and all the stuff and it's going to be great. When it's going to be out, don't know for sure. Soon-ish.
I like ish. Ish is always my favorite thing to add to a word. I also think like if the rest of the world's technology would slow down, we wouldn't have to worry about, well, what are they doing in order for us to keep caught up either? It's like everybody else just take a break and let us figure out what's happening next. They can follow us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's fun to be in web
Yeah.
and constantly experiencing the changes. I mean, you know, especially since we finally got rid of Internet Explorer, just the JavaScript and CSS changes have been wonderfully fast over the last several years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kenneth. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So many innovations, so much good stuff happening. But I really loved like what we talked about today, like across all of and keep the questions coming about the things, all Kadence. You've got Ben here. I brought you Ben. What else do you want from me?
I have a question. So here's my
Okay.
question, Ben. I love building with the templates that we have, right? Only I sometimes forget to change like a pumpkin to a tree. Like when I built a tree farm based on the pumpkin farm one.
Sure.
Is there any way for you to go, by the way, you forgot to change this picture?
That's a good idea.
Man. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how, but also don't look at it right now, but MichelleFrechette.com is in the works. And half of the pictures of Michelle Frechette are the stock images that came with the template. So she's much prettier, by the way. But anyway. Yeah, so I was like, I got a call from a customer that's like, my husband wants to know why when you click on this, it's all pumpkins. I'm like, that would be because I forgot to change the link that goes with that button.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing we're definitely trying to do is fix link problems. That one is an easy fix for us. We shouldn't that's something that the whole new starter templates won't have wrong links, like linking back to the starter template websites. As far as a notice on images, that's interesting. I'll have to think through how that could work.
I mean, it's probably just me. Probably everybody else does it right, and I'm the one who forgets that it's not a pumpkin farm.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I think part of it is like we're giving you images, especially with AI, where it's like you can use these right out the gate. Like you're free to use them. And so there's people who are going to be like, "Oh, I want to use this image. It looks good. It's what I wanted." But yeah, could be interesting to have like some kind of scraper that says, "Hey, you're still using these images from your initial import."
True. Or if
Just
everyone just
FYI.
had a big splash across the middle that says, "Don't forget to change this picture."
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt Howell would like to know, is there any plan to make individual sections from starter templates available as patterns blocks?
I'm
We
assuming
kind of have that.
We do have that. And like all the AI stuff will have that as well. Like you'll be able to find a pattern that's used in your starter template. Because they're all actually sourced from the pattern library. Like we build them into the pattern library and then we like generate these pages on the fly to import into your website, which is cool, by the way. That took a lot of work to get that right, but it's very cool. As far as the old ones, maybe. I think we'll be rewriting a lot of the original starter template ones. You can go and import all those pages and then just like delete the sections you don't want. But yeah, we'll be kind of simplifying some of those old like original starter template designs into patterns and then into the library. So you should see more options there. Hopefully that answers that.
Okay, great. Let's talk e-commerce. Let's talk about Shopkit.
Cool. New features coming for Shopkit. Kadence e-commerce needs improve. I know we have features. that we're planning on doing. I don't know if we have the features that you want in plans, so I'd be curious what you want us to be working on. We have a lot of feature requests, and part of this year and through the end of the year is actually going to be expanding the Kadence team and our capacity to do more, because one of the hardest things that we run into is how do we work on feature requests and how do we get new big things out and how do we do them both fast. And so we're growing our team to accommodate more of that and have more happening throughout all of our products. So yeah, I don't know that I'd be curious which certain feature we need, all caps. But I know we have a lot of feature requests that we're working on and that will be coming out, especially like real short-term AI, advanced query, repeater field is in beta round 2. We're going to do some more stuff there and then push that stuff live. And then we'll be looking at, okay, what are the next things here, here, and here? And we've got a list.
Right. Yeah. The best thing to do if you have feature requests is to go to the site and put in feature requests for whichever, if it's the theme, if it's the blocks, if it's Shop Kit, whatever. There is a place on the site where you can add feature requests or search and see if somebody else has put in a feature request and it's similar or the same. You can add some clarifiers to that and then upvote those types of things so that gets onto the radar for the dev team. That's
bring them to the Facebook group too. Like it's really nice if you post it. Hey, what do you guys think about this feature request? Get some extra votes. We're really working on improving the process of like finding those gems that come in on our feature request board.
Right, definitely. Yeah. And so a lot of the Kadence team is in that Facebook group. So if you, it's helpful if you post it on the Kadence site in that feature request area and then go to the
it'll get lost in Facebook. Otherwise, don't just post in Facebook.
Right.
We won't it'll be gone.
Yeah. There's 12,000 plus, almost, I think it's like 12,500. We're almost, 13,000 by the end of the year. Who knows? We've got a lot of people asking a lot of questions. So post on the site and then bring it to the Facebook group and say, hey, this is what I need in order to make my shop better or make my site better. If it will work for you too, please upvote. And then that way you can kind of rally the troops to upvote that. So that really does help. Yeah, but just don't ping me and say, hey, Kathy, make this happen. I do my best. I do pester Ben enough, but there's only so much that one woman can do in the marketing side of things. But I love you guys. I really do. And I love talking to you. So if you have questions, ask me questions. But I get a lot of, hey, make Ben do this. I'm just like,
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I got a cookie, Ben.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? Yeah. Greg has a good point, though, that it would be nice for, and it's hard for the community to tell, like what things are, you know, top of mind. What is priority A1 versus what's priority D4, right?
Yeah. We're currently hiring for a role that will focus on that, on getting the feature requests that are on our internal list to match up with what's publicly being shown and then catching the ones that come in to get them lifted and pushed out. That's been highlighted and we've been trying to figure out a solution. We may even move how we're getting feature requests to better accommodate that because our current system has some drawbacks. But yes, that is something that we have we've flagged. We have a team that's kind of creating a strategy for how we can do that better, and then we're hiring a role that will focus a lot on that.
Amazing. And Carmelo, who's been one of our biggest fans since the day I started, saying that this all looks fantastic and that we're awesome. We're doing our best. We are awesome. We are awesomely doing our best.
Don't Doing our
I have
awesome best, even.
yeah. I have a super secret private question, Ben. Can you talk about what all of this that you just demoed means for the future of the current starter template library? Are we going to add more to that? That question seems to come up fairly often where people are like, I love all these starter templates, but you guys haven't put out a new one in a really long time.
Yeah,
So
we put a halt on putting a new one out for a while because we decided, hey, we should do this with AI and we should focus our energy on getting starter templates that are way more actionable when you get them out. So we will not be getting rid of the current starter templates. I think there'll always be the option to go to that. Like I could even show you that I brought my screen share back up. There will always be an option to do that. And I think too, there's a lot of people. So like here, you can switch to block editor. You have the old ones. And then we're updating like this interface a little bit to be similar. Nice. So you can click through and then say, I only want to do pages, similar to what we just did. So, right, that's all coming. And then people who are building child themes and using starter templates, we're improving that interface a little bit, but that takeover of Kadence starter templates will still be functioning and working, well. So like anyone who's building child themes and stuff, none of that is going to go away, and we're going to provide options for you to make sure that your customers see your starter template, and then it will improve the functionality around it and the design. But yeah,
here's a rock star you might recognize.
yeah, it's fun to see our team in the chat.
I was like, I think I know Sailor.
Yeah.
I love Sailor. Sailor is a rock star. Anytime we might have a public poll for things the dev team has in mind and see what the people would like to see first. I think Sailor would like to rally the troops. Vote for Sailor's ideas.
I will say that as a product developer, you have to balance what the loudest people in your community are saying versus what like overall the community is saying. And that's a hard thing to do because there's a lot of people, like even in our Facebook group, who have really great ideas and they can be really loud about those ideas, but they don't make up 100% of the user base. And so there has to be some balance always of like who we're creating for and which features come next. So I would be scared to open up any kind of a poll that's like, let's see which wins. Although I would certainly say like there has been a lot of things where it's like, we want your opinion. What do you think about this? And we've done polls in the past, and we should bring some of that back more often in our Facebook group of like, hey, what do you guys think of this versus this? But just to straight up, like everyone gets to vote on what we do next. That's pretty hard to like pull off.
Right. There's so many different factors that go into features, right? How much work is it going to take? How many people will actually use this and how will it help them actually make a better website? How does it affect income streams where we have people who want money from us, you know? So there's all sorts of different variables that go into that matrix of deciding what is going to be the next feature. So it's kind of, if you get the perfect thing that has the widest impact with the lowest amount of effort to make, and it can affect the bottom line and make our customers as happy as possible, then you've got the perfect storm. You've got like the triangle of happiness for product. I'm making things up.
Yeah.
But that's how it is, right? You have to make, those are the decisions you make, not based on, oh, well, this got 75% of people voted for it. Well, that's going to take 7 years for us to do, and it's not going to make our company money, and it's not going to pay for our team, and it's only going to be used by the 75 people who voted for it, and really not a wider audience. So 75% of voters do not necessarily mean it's going to work. So, but we
All that
want to
said, we do love feedback, and we are massively manipulated by it. Like people post stuff and it turns us. Like yeah, seriously. That's one that always comes up during a live stream. That white label is like 50-60% done, and I just can't figure out when I'm gonna create the space to push that over the limit or put a dev on it. I mean, it needs to happen. We've said it's going to happen. We started it. It's just hard. It's a priority thing that hasn't. Yeah, exactly. Like that's a key scenario of like, we looked at the broader audience and we're like, this is not actually that big of a thing. But yeah.
It's really important to some people, but there's that magical matrix that I'm making up as I go along, and it might not fit that. So
yeah.
Obviously,
well,
there's been.
I do hope to get to it because I do know there's a lot of people that want it, and it isn't that big of a thing. It's not like it's a 5-year dev thing or whatever, but it's just been hard to create the space for it.
Just for you, Robin. I'll pull it in just for you.
I love it.
Yeah, so fun. We have a few more minutes. Any more questions? Otherwise, I really, really want to just call out Michelle and give her all of the accolades, all of the tacos, all of the, you are so amazing. You're so amazing to work with. Whenever I need anything, you are there for me. You always have had my back, and you've got Cadence's back. And I am just so thankful to the.
Don't make me cry. I'm so happy that number one, because I was laying in bed when you messaged me, because it wasn't even like work time yet. Like, oh, Kathy's messaging me. I'm like, do I pretend I didn't see? No, I'm kidding. I had literally just looked at my calendar to see like, oh, what time do I have to be like on? I was like, I got nothing on my calendar today. And Kathy's like, oh yeah?
Yeah.
Let me add a full day for you. It was
a full day. Yeah.
Poor Hannah. So much fun.
Sent a message early this morning. I've been up all night. I can't do it.
I'm so sorry that she's sick, and I really hope she feels better. But the silver lining is I got to have a really fun day, and hopefully she's recovered by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Hannah, if you're watching, don't do anything. Just rest. We need you. We need you. Healthy.
Stay on the couch. Enjoy your weekend. Hydrate, woman. Hydrate.
Hydrate. Yes, indeed. Yeah. No, I am so glad that Michelle was able to step in. Hannah gets a break. She needs to take care of herself, and I'm happy that I was able to accommodate everything and be here as well because of all of the craziness in my world. And I am grateful you've been here. We have great lineup of speakers. So if you guys are still with us, we still got 60 people watching, our biggest fans. So we're going to end the stream in a bit. I am going to go back through over the next 24 hours and add timestamps to all the speakers. We will eventually pull all of the recordings and make them their own recordings and launch them out on the YouTube channel. You'll probably get, if you're on the Kadence mailing list, you will get a notification about that. Make sure you're on the Kadence mailing list. If you haven't been, just Google Kadence mailing list. It comes up. And it is, Kadence is still just one of the most incredible things out there. It is, like I've always said, it's changed my relationship with Gutenberg. It has changed my relationship with WordPress. And Ben, thank you for creating it. Thank you for making my work fun.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But I really enjoyed hopping in and out on speakers today, and there were some really great.
Oh my gosh, amazing speakers today. I learned so
much. I feel like
I
need to go back and watch both sides over again.
Yeah. Well, I need to go look at all of track 1 because I was in track 2 listening all day. So I know what I'm going to have in my headphones next week while I'm getting some work done.
Yeah. There were some really exceptional sessions, and I could, I've got to do that for 2. So
absolutely.
Well, thank you. I can't thank you guys enough for making this happen. Thank you to everybody who showed up and listened to a little bit here and there, or some of you people have stuck with me all day long. Even when you people are amazing. We had one speaker who was not available this morning, and I could have just like put up a blank screen and said, see you at the top of the hour, but I am an idiot. And I'm like, what do you want to hear? Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my goodness.
For an hour.
Glutton for punishment sounds much better than idiot.
First half, I talked about landing pages. Second half, I did a demo of Kadence Cloud that didn't work because I hadn't even looked at the site in 6 months. Let's see if this works. It was
let's take a look.
But it was so much fun. And so everybody that came, thank you so much. We have one final question from my friend Joe. Your friend Joe too. You guys, we all love you, Joe. And he has a question for you, Ben. He builds for a government agency and accessibility is primary. Are there new or existing features you're most proud of in the accessibility realm?
I don't know about most proud of. New, there's always something new. Like Kadence had a release this week based on Amanda's feedback for something in our navigation that she was like, hey, you shouldn't change the area label when you're opening up a submenu. Oh, okay. So I think in general, I'm very much want to make sure we push those things out as soon as they come in and not be like, we're withholding all this AI, this like accessibility stuff for a big release or anything like that. So it's hard to like think through because there's just generally like, once it gets flagged, it gets fixed. I know I have done way more research into accessibility than I ever thought I would to try to become my own expert so we can just do it right and find things. And I know that that's been a thing on our team. I think one thing that we are wanting to focus on with this new AI starter template is like, how do we make sure these come accessible out the gate? And that's not something we necessarily did with our other one. Like the designers that focused on our original starter templates were not thinking accessibility out the gate. And so then we did some fixes, but like this one, these base templates that were like, or I guess I should just say patterns. These patterns we're building to be accessibility first. And even like the focus on color, and when you're picking a color in the tool, it automatically says, hey, like this doesn't provide enough contrast. That's the kind of thing that I'm really trying to make sure we get put in so that people can make better decisions as they go through a process.
Amazing. Thank you, Ben. And thank you, Joe, for the question.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to give one final shout out to the audience today. Like, seriously, great questions, amazing interaction, and everybody was so polite. I loved that part of it too. Like, Kathy had to teach me how to kick people out, and I didn't have to do any of that. It was awesome.
Not at all. Yep. The Kadence community, you guys are
amazing.
You people are incredible. And it is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. So thank you for making Kadence Amplify a really fun event. And with that, let's wrap up. Let's say goodbye. Let's slide into Friday. It's time for the weekend. So I will go ahead and say goodbye, and I'm going to do that little countdown thingy. And off we go.
Thanks, everyone.